I noticed that I dry
Mom,
myself.
I'm not autistic.
I'm not. I don't know. I just noticed it like a couple years ago where it's like, huh, I dry myself in a very specific order.
Hmm.
I've always just done it that way. I don't know why.
I
I tried
That's
drying myself in like a different order, and I'm like, that feels weird. I don't like that, so I don't. I just don't think about it when I dry myself anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna
you
dry
don't
myself how I don't think about it anymore.
you don't ever feel adventurous to like try new things like that, you know?
No, why? Why would I
Huh.
want to? It's just drying myself off, bro. It's not like it.
I was
You
drying
think if
myself
I
like
dry myself off in a different way, I'm just going, oh my god, oh,
like
oh my,
I don't know,
oh,
man. It's
oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark's Movie Reviews, a discussion detailing the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous of anime movies. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, I have our czar of source material, John.
It was a guest appearance that no one was prepared for.
Yeah, originally this was
only
just
it
going
was
to be
recorded.
myself and Natai, and John just... Shoo!
must be the work of an enemy stand.
It was the work of an enemy stand. And
Bro, we don't
speak-
have the pre-roll where that happens. They're not gonna ever. No one's gonna understand that.
I should have been recording. That was my fault. I'm so sorry. But anyway, speaking of enemy stands, we also have our poser extraordinaire, Nitai.
It's good to be here with you, Alex. I mean, if you want, you can tell the story of what happened because I almost like had a heart attack.
I
So,
mean,
thanks, John.
it's really simple. And this was all John's idea last night because we were watching Porco Rosso, and then afterwards it's like, hey, John, you should join us for the review. It's like, oh yeah, don't tell him the time I'm coming. It's like, all right, I'll make sure to find a way to
Oh,
play
Lordy,
Giorno's
coming.
theme. And so that's what happened. I had to distract you long enough for John to wake up and join us, and then
Yeah, that was the first hurdle.
and then John and I were like typing together in Discord while you and I were talking here, and we had to time it. I had to wait for him to say he was about to join, so I had my finger on the button so that the second he joined, it would start playing Giorno's theme.
I will
from
say,
Giorno's
like,
Part 5.
I am kind of upset it wasn't recorded because it would have been like really funny to watch. But like my hats off to you for that timing. It was perfect. I was actually like getting scared for a moment. I was like, what was that? What's
Like,
going
why did
on? What
Giorno's
is-
theme just start playing?
Yeah.
John? Why is John here?
Why is
Why
there
is it
boss
very-
music playing?
Why is he invading the sanctity of the spoiler cast?
Little did you know, I already watched the movie.
But yeah, the three of us have gotten together because we are going to be reviewing the 1992 Studio Ghibli film Porco Rosso, which is
Porcellino.
Porcellino, which is a Studio Ghibli film, which I think is often overlooked when people are listing like their favorites.
I mean, honestly speaking, I didn't watch Porco Rosso until yesterday with Alex, and I had never planned to watch it because I don't hear anything about Porco Rosso ever. But in our adventure of we need to watch every single Ghibli film, we're gonna watch and review every fucking Ghibli film because that's the thing we're doing now, I guess. It was part of the list, and I can understand why people, after watching the film, I can understand why people don't really talk about it because it's not a bad film. I would say that Porco Rosso is a pretty decent film. However, when you compare it to the rest of the Ghibli catalog, like My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke,
Or Boy and the Heron.
or Boy, that's more recent, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna like fall to the wayside, kind of like Nazca Valley of the Wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it's because maybe I'm jumping ahead for a bit, but I think maybe it's just a very low stakes kind of movie, so maybe that's why it's a much more chill, big quotation marks. I feel.
Well, see, the thing
in
is,
terms of
I
the
think the
usual
movie is
Ghibli
a
affair.
good movie. I really like the fact that it was developed for like an
For
airline show.
Japan Airlines.
Japan Airlines to be like an in show, like just like a 10-minute thing, like welcome to Japan Airlines. and then Hayao Miyazaki just like ballooned it into a feature-length film. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm glad
Yeah, I
it
mean-
did, because
There are a lot of people might not be aware the anime film itself is based on a earlier 1989 manga that Hayao Miyazaki wrote just because he liked model planes. And
that's
he developed
hilarious.
he developed like this really even more simple than what we got in Porco Rosso and much more like upbeat, chipper story. And also Curtis in the original manga is named Donald Chuck, which I find fucking hilarious.
Donald Chuck.
But yeah, he literally just created that manga because he's like, hey, these old model planes are pretty cool. Let me make a story around them.
You can
Bro, I
tell,
get it.
like you can tell, like they were into planes. Like there's so much detail and love to how they portray like all the planes, both like the more slicker versions and the more like rusty and kind of like very I don't know if the word's authentic, but they feel used. It's like that all like
Yeah.
the way they went with the direction they went with the original Star Wars, where everything is like very used and very
The
like
used future look.
old. Yeah, exactly, and it feels that way with some of the planes here. So it's awesome. It's
That's
really,
I
really
was
cool.
I was
Like,
telling
is
that
this used past? Because this takes place in 1929.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was telling that to John while we were watching the movie last night. I'm like, one of the things I like about the plane designs, especially the plane designs of like the pirate gangs, is that they look cobbled together from like spare
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
They even like
Which
kind of
makes
like
sense because they'd be like, they're airplane pirates. Like,
Yeah.
and they even
I-
like throw some jabs
like
at
the
each
look.
other. Like some of them is like, "Wow, you couldn't even get that part of your plane like painted over." Like
oh, I love the pirates. The
they're
air
so fun.
pirates. They're so funny, dude. Oh, shoot, guys, I can't do the run. Ah, engine trouble. Oh, Mayday. Go ahead without me.
Yeah. Oops.
Like, I'm not going to be the first one to get shot down. You go get shot down. Yeah, it's a fun little campy film. I like it.
Yeah,
I
and
think
and you're kind of right, Natai, when you say it. The story of the movie is kind of low stakes. It's very localized stakes to just these characters, even
Not in a
though
bad way, by
it takes
the way.
place. Well, even though it takes place in the shadow of the lead up to World War II,
Yeah, and but
which
it's
you
like
argue is very big stakes.
yeah, but it's like the word that kept coming back to me while watching the movie is charming, because it's such a little charming movie. It's very low stakes in the sense that like, it's not something like world ending or crazy or grandiose like something like House Moving
And he's
Castle.
not like a
but-
chosen one.
No,
No.
it's a very no, but the atmosphere and the sort of like again the vibe like you get while watching the movie, it's just super charming. Everyone's super likable, and you're just very like. When I finished the movie, I was very happy. It left me
Yeah.
with a very good feeling inside. It's a super cute movie.
Which is not the case with the last Ghibli movie we reviewed.
No.
No.
So to me, this felt like a sort of like a love letter to Western films in general, because this is a very like this came out, or this is based on something from the 80s. This came out in 92?
92. July of 92.
July of 92. Before I was born. Wow.
I was 2 years old when this movie came out.
But for a Japanese feature-length film to have a primarily Western style story was kind of rare. And it shows just like an appreciation of like Western culture, of like,
And
look at how
planes.
all these Italians and who are part of the underworld, who are just gathering to watch these guys do a dogfight. Like, everything's like a celebration, kind of, and it's just like in the very beginning opening scene, we see Porco Rosso have to rescue some hostages, some school kids, and the school kids are like, "Woo, pirates! Oh my god!"
Yeah, let's go swimming. Yeah, and there's like there's
Yeah,
no
and it's
tension.
like-
And
yeah,
there's no tension.
and it's like Porco Rosso is such an ace pilot that he's not even sweating that the kids are on board of the pirate airplane. He's just shooting out the airplane's engines and stuff. And they're trying to like the kids are hanging out the gun cockpit while the guys trying to gun. They're like, "Get down!" and try to gun down Porco Rosso. And it's just like, what is this film? Like, what?
Yeah, it was
like,
so
from the
weird
very-
to watch it like that.
From the very first 5 minutes of the film, it sets the stakes, which is like,
Yeah.
this is not a very serious film. Though it does tread into a little bit of seriousness because we have our titular character, Porco Rosso. And
Red
when we
Pig.
dive into his past and stuff, it's like, oh, he was a World War One pilot and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool, but it's like it's a very stereotypical Western story of like a jaded veteran who's like, I've seen some things, kid, and he doesn't forgive himself for the past, but then like the people in his present help him forgive himself for the past so he can move on to the future, which is like a very stereotypical American story or Western
But it just
story.
has that Ghibli paint all over it, where they really very much focus on like the small details and the everyday like people all around them. And it's funny, I was reading like an article about this movie, and they point out something really that I found interesting of how the portrayal of like Europe in this movie is very touristy. Like it's very romanticized, and everything is like you're a tourist there. I mean, to some extent, you're also experience some of their lives, because you see how like there's a moment in the movie where he goes to this factory where they fix up his plane, and they comment on how all the workers are women because all the men are away working. So you have that subtle undertones of something in the background brewing, like stuff like this world is not in a good state, you could say.
Yeah,
but it's
there's
still
even that scene
very
with the military parade.
yeah, but still, it's very much coded like it's very lighthearted, and there's not a whole lot of tension, and it's very kind of tongue in cheek about some things. It's it's an interesting contrast that you have.
It's like watching people who they probably realize that something bad is about to happen, but in their daily lives they're trying their best to go on as business as usual.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you see a lot in the background of this movie, and I think maybe that's kind of why it makes it a little. The word you used was charming. I would say grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
To a point.
To a point, I guess. It's interesting. I think the main thing though, like that I got out of it, was just the atmosphere and the lightheartedness of it all, but still how likable it was. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like going over the top. It felt very like right, very calculated how they went about it. And again, the plane appreciation is fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's like a lot of sakuga involving planes in this
Yeah.
movie.
Like all the dogfights happening, it's great.
Super cool.
Yeah, I was. It's like for its day, it's still to this day, but even for its day, this is a very technically impressive movie with its cinematography. There are a lot of really gorgeous and long, complex tracking shots with these planes, especially during the dogfights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see how smooth and how great that has held up, even today.
Yeah, we're reviewing a film that's like 32 and a half years old. It definitely looks dated because of like the art style and like the definition that it was written in. Because but you can see the Ghibli love in it. Like you can see that they did a bunch of good color work. Yeah, they had that Ghibli color palette all over the place for their backgrounds and stuff. Like when they were in Gina's garden and stuff.
Yeah,
it
the background
really
art in
good.
this movie is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. Also, like the tactile feeling of it all, like we talk about the planes out, and again, like they feel tactile. They feel like these giant machines that some of them are cobbled together, and there's a lot of effort to make them feel, as you said, grounded. Like that whole process where they talk about building the plane, and it's so captivating, just to get lost in that world.
I love in like the flying scenes where you can actually, especially when they're doing like close-ups with the characters in the planes, you can actually see the metal flexing.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's like really good attention to detail for a movie from 1992.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I wanted to ask you this specifically, Natai. Did the pirates give you, like, the character design of the pirates give you like One Piece vibes?
I mean, to some extent, I love the pirates. They're so goofy and again, super likable. Because at first you're like, oh, who are these goofs, those idiots? But as the movie like progresses, they're just so fun to have around. You have that moment later on when they're like waiting for Porco Rosso to like ambush him, and it's so like
Yeah.
he doesn't take it seriously, but they
Oh,
waited. They just waited this entire time in his tent,
it
and
is
then they
dead.
just
Yeah.
bust out of his tent. It's like, aha, we got you. It's like, oh, okay, you waited all this time here for me. It's like everyone in this movie to some extent are just like kind of bums. Like literally,
It's just such low stakes. Like no one cares what's happening.
literally, like the moment that cracked me up the most to some extent was in that same scene when Curtis shows up. Out of nowhere, he shows into like the crevice of the mountain, like standing like straight like this, and someone's like, "Why is there a path going down that mountain? What's that?" And it's so silly, and they take themselves so seriously in the best way possible. You know. Again, it's just super charming.
Um,
This movie really
but
won me over.
by the way, did you know that the that little hideout that Porco Rosso has on that island is based on like an actual island in the Adriatic?
I saw that picture
Yes.
while reading about it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's a beautiful island. Listen,
And that
Mediterranean's got some
imagery-
beautiful places, man.
And that imagery of him, you know, like the opening scene of the movie, I mean, like, you know, lying down with like the magazine over his head. It's like just fucking great imagery in this movie, you know?
I also love the fact that every time you see someone doing any kind of financial transaction, it's comically large stacks of money,
Yes.
which makes sense because this movie is supposed to be taking place shortly after the world financial collapse in 1929. So all the
they-
country's money is so worthless.
And they even talk about it, like there's this moment when they fill up the tank of the plane, and Theo, she the engineer character, she talks about, man, gas here costs like 3 times as much as back home. I think they're scamming us. And he's like, nope, it's just people are having a difficult time living in here. And it's like very kind of somber the way he talks about it, but it's like very small moment.
Yeah.
Just really adds to like the whole feeling of the world itself.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I believe she's from Milan.
Milan. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
from
Milan.
Milan.
Which is one of the more rich cities in Italy.
It's the whole like, and also I really appreciate the setting of like the Mediterranean. Like I don't think we see that a lot in anime. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember the last time.
I can't think of a whole lot that would take place in the Mediterranean.
JoJo Part
JoJo's
5,
Part
I guess.
5.
Yeah, but it always comes back to JoJo. I really appreciate the landscape that we get to see and like the whole like just.
Yeah.
Don't get me even started on the
and-
music. We'll get there.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we can talk about the music because that's one of the things that John noticed early on in the film. We actually hear it's a French song, right?
Yeah, Le Chevy something Cherry whatever.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Yeah.
That, yeah, sure.
Anyway,
But John was like, because John and I were watching the Japanese dub, which, by the way, if you watch the English dub that Disney did, you get to hear Batman himself as Porco Rosso. So that's pretty
Michael
cool.
Keaton.
Michael Keaton's Porco Rosso?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh my
Michael
god!
Keaton
I need to
is
look this
Porco
up
Rosso.
after we're done recording.
Do you know who else
wow.
is in the English dub for the Disney dub?
No.
Fucking SpongeBob
And Patrick.
and Patrick.
What?
Tom
Yeah.
Kenny and Bill Fagerbakke are both in the English dub,
That's hilarious.
along with Batman.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I haven't actually watched the Disney dub in a very, very long time. So I got to go back and rewatch that now. But we
Is
watched
this
it
your
in
second time
Japanese.
watching this movie, Alex?
This is my third time because I've watched it once in English, once in Japanese before. But it's been 15, 20 years.
Okay.
But
Cool.
yeah, when we were watching that scene where the singer performs
The French.
the song in French, John was like, I wonder if they hired like a French singer to dub that over. And it's like, John looked it up, was like, no, it's actually a Japanese woman singing in French.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's impressive, actually.
Yeah, well, at first I was like, Joe Hisaishi did the soundtrack, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, this doesn't sound like a Joe Hisaishi song. Like, I don't think he composed this. And I looked it up. I was like, no, it's a classical French song. I was like, ah. And then I was like,
Oh, gotcha.
I guess they hired some like French singer or something. Like, nope, apparently it was sung by the Japanese lady. I was like, oh, it was a Japanese lady that sang this in
She was
French.
great. She like the entire cast. Like I really enjoyed all the performances.
The woman who sung that, her name is Tokiko Kato, and the song that she performs is a very old French song called "The Time of Cherries."
There you go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the score by Joe Hisaishi is great, just like pretty much all of his scores.
Joe Hisaishi,
are.
man, come on.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
It's like an anime musical cheat code. All you gotta do is hire Joe or hire Hiroyuki Sawano, and you've got a fucking winning strategy for a great soundtrack.
Yeah, and I think for people who have like a Ghibli playlist all the time, there is one song from Porco Rosso that probably is on everyone's playlist. It's "On My Way Home" or something. The original song. Is that what it was called? I don't remember what it was. I was reading it yesterday on the.
The ending song?
Yes. It's "Once in a While Talk of the Old Days" is the name of that piece of
song.
music.
That one, yeah. That's on a lot of people's.
Also,
like,
the main melody is super pleasant, super nice. Again, just like I keep going to the vibes of this movie, but the music is.
It's also that piece of music that plays when they're trying to escape the secret police and they're like trying to take off from the canal. That piece of music I really, really like.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of tension in that piece. It's like, you know, with how untense this story is, they're gonna succeed.
Yeah, but also like the fucking the water chasing through the canal was super cool.
Yeah.
That was some Sakuga right there, man. Holy shit.
There's so many moments like of excitement in this movie that even though you get that this movie is kind of low stakes and very silly to some extent, there's not a whole lot of tension, it still grabs you. You still like get into it and you still feel the excitement and you're just like very much into the movie. You don't laugh at the movie. You're having a good time with it, you know?
I don't know. There were some parts near the end where John and I were laughing a lot.
But were you laughing at the expense of the movie or were you like going with the movie?
I just
with
loved
the
how
movie.
like
yeah. That's my point.
When we finally get to the end and they're doing the dogfight and they're like, ah shit, we're out of bullets, so then they just fucking turn into a boxing match. Hilarious.
My gun is jammed.
Love it. Like the shit talking that Porco Rosso does throughout the film against his enemies, his quote unquote enemies. It's like dude is participating in a COD lobby and just trash talking people mid fight. Like, you missed. Check
Dude,
your aim, bro.
even to his friends, like when his weapon is jammed and then like he breaks that handle, it's like, oh, it's because Theo's ass is too big. It's like, motherfucker.
Oh my god! And then and then the
way
other
they
guy's like
communicate with
shooting
each
him
other
with a
as
pea
well.
shooter. He's like, "Who are you gonna hit with that?" And then he hits Porco Rosso's or plane. He's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
I love that scene
comical.
because there's phenomenal comedic timing in there because he pulls out the gun, a fucking revolver, and starts shooting it at him, and he miss, and he's like, then Porco Rosso's like, who the fuck you think you're gonna hit with that? And then there's a bullet hole that goes right in the seat behind him, and he just turns, and there's like an extra beat where he's just sitting there looking at it, and he's like, okay.
Oh,
That way
such
of
a
how
funny film.
they communicate with each other with the flashing lights, so with the Morse code, but they speak it as they say it out loud as well. It's so funny and it's so
I
cute.
wonder how
like,
accurate that Morse code was because I don't know Morse code.
yeah, me neither. I'm kind of
That's,
curious.
That's a good question. If anyone has watched this movie and knows, please let us know if that was accurate.
Yeah.
Like, how do you say in Morse code, fuck you, son of a bitch? That's some shitty dogfighting right there.
It's probably gonna find out like that it's fucking Hayao Miyazaki put in there them doing Morse code that just says anime was a mistake.
Maybe.
Stop watching my movies.
It is funny because I've heard people say that Hayao Miyazaki doesn't have much of a sense of humor in his movies, and I'm thinking if you really think that, watch Porco Rosso. He wrote this. The dude has a sense of humor. It's just he's gotten so fucking jaded in his 80s now.
Some of his movies are genuinely like funny, not like a comedy laugh out loud, but like you get these like really silly but funny moments where you're like I always enjoyed that sort of like Ghibli sense of humor, I guess. Like Just
Yeah.
I
super
will
cute.
say for a Ghibli film, this really does lack like the Ghibli magic though, like the
Does
fantastical
it?
element. So the
Oh,
only
The
fantastical
fantasy
element
element.
okay.
to it is
Okay.
the fact that Porco Rosso is cursed to have a pig's face. But
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
he has a pig's face, like everybody adores him. So it's like, so what was the point in him being cursed? And actually, there was a reason why he was cursed with that. And I thought how it ended was,
I mean, we can get into spoilers if you want.
yeah, like towards the end, we learned that Porco Rosso participated in World War One, and
Hmm.
he was the only surviving airman of his entire group, and he used to
Pilot,
fly
yeah.
for the military. And his best friend was engaged to Gina, who is the main love interest of Porco Rosso, who she loves him, and she's like, I've been through 3 husbands, and they're all ex-pilots, and they're all dead. And it just seems like, oh, he's just not reciprocating because Porco Rosso is a playboy or whatever. It's like, no, dude is legit traumatized at losing his best friend
Yeah.
and doesn't want to marry his best friend's girl, even though it's been years. And this movie is about him actually confronting his past and moving to the future, which is I
Yeah.
absolutely loved.
It's
Like
beautiful. Yeah.
at the very end, we get a narration after like the dogfight. Gina comes and is like, "Hey, the police are coming! Break it up, guys!" So they all scramble like, "Oh God, the police are coming!" And they just all comically leave. And then we get a narration ending where Philo,
Yeah. Theo is
Theo,
the one.
that's the little 17-year-old girl that tags along.
the chief engineer of Piccolo.
By the way, I love her so much.
Yeah.
I love her
She's
character
funny,
so
yeah.
much. She's
So
great.
we get an ending narration by Theo, who it's like, yeah, the police came, but no one ever saw Porco Rosso ever again. But we see a shot of Porco Rosso's iconic red plane in Gina's
Yeah.
garden. So it's like, oh, because and right before that, when they're like everyone's running, Porco Rosso himself is like, hey, Donald Chuck, help me,
Curtis.
Donald Chuck, help me get these cops away so everyone can escape. And all of a sudden, like, Curtis can see Porco Rosso's real face. He's like, hey, wait, what? Let me see it. Is that your real face? Let me see that. So it's like, it's kind of
The curse lifts.
the curse is
Pretty
lifted
much.
because he's finally forgiven himself, which lends
Also,
to
because Theo
why he
kissed
was
him
able.
supposedly.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
just
this
like,
happens right after she kisses him.
Yeah.
so I think it's he finally does, because when they're doing the boxing match, Curtis yells
Yeah.
out like, Porco Rosso, you fucking playboy bastard. Not only do you have Gina, who's been waiting for your response, you even have this 17-year-old who likes you. Like, you're a fucking bastard, man. Like, why do you get all these presents and stuff? And you need
And
to
he
confront
wasn't
your
aware of it
feelings.
till that point. Yeah.
Well, he was running away from it because he
Yeah.
didn't want to confront his past. But in the on the scene where he gets ambushed and he's telling at night, once they're ambushed by the pirates, and then at night he's telling Theo like
Theo.
his past. He's finally opening up. So it's like, that's why I'm like, this is kind of a traditional Western style story. Like,
Mhm.
we have our jaded hero who, for one reason or another, doesn't want to talk about his past, but then
Mhm.
because he finally opens up, he starts to confront his actual feelings and tries to get over that trauma. And by the end, we have our redemption arc, and his redemption arc is after he's in a fist fight, and then he gets the kiss. It's like he realized, like, oh, I need to move on. Like, I can't keep playing Gina forever.
Yeah. And I like
And
how
it's just
not in
like,
your
it
face
was-
about it, this movie is how it tells that arc. It's very
Yeah.
solid. It's very, like, you can enjoy the movie as a very charming, sweet ride, but there's still that to dig into and think about it more. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
nice.
yeah, but because the story is it's a decent story, but because it's such low stakes, this is like, it's not grandiose like every other. When I think
No.
Ghibli, I automatically think Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro, freaking The Boy and the Heron,
Spirited Away.
House Moving Castle, Spirited Away. Like, I think about how grandiose and how much like fantastical shit happens in these films,
True, yeah.
and then you have Porco Rosso. It's like, it's not very like stand out, like, I personally, like, Ponyo to me is a Ghibli film that is ranked very low. It has the fantastical element because Ponyo's like Queen, Princess of the Sea or whatever the fuck it is. But I just didn't like Ponyo's character. I didn't like the story building. But it's that fantastical element doesn't make a good Ghibli film, but it's something that it is recognizable.
Which is funny because the last Ghibli film we reviewed, Grave of the Fireflies, has none of that.
True.
But no one really thinks about Grave of the Fireflies when they think Ghibli.
No, but it is a Ghibli film, and it's probably the most grounded Ghibli film.
It is a Ghibli film. No one thinks about it, though. When they think of Ghibli films, I guarantee you, no one's going to go, oh, yeah, my favorite Ghibli film, Grave of the Fireflies.
Of course, no one said it because they're so traumatized that they blank it out of their mind, you know?
Well, thank God this was screened as a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro.
That's a palate cleanser, right? But it's interesting what you're saying, and I get it, but I still feel it has that Ghibli magic, not in the fantastical elements aspect of that word, but the Ghibli magic in the sense of wonder it has, you know? Like, every now and then when you have those flying sequences, I found myself just in awe of the animation, of the sort of like almost zen
The sense
state,
of freedom that it provides the characters.
Yeah, thank you, definitely. How that sort of like, you get that feeling, and just that Ghibli charm that it also has is like cranked out to 11, you know? And so I didn't walk in with a lot of expectations for this movie. When Alex said Porco Rosso, I was like, all right, sure. Like, because I'm just like you.
I didn't walk in with anything. I wasn't even planning on watching it because I just so happened to be free. And Alex is like, hey, I'm going to be watching the movie. You guys want to join? And I was like, fuck it. I got nothing to do. I'm just waiting for my food right now.
I definitely always had that impression of Porco Rosso. It's just like it's one of those Ghibli movies that are kind of forgotten. So I didn't get into this with a lot of expectations, but it floored me. I it's just so fun and so, like, again, that sense of wonder that Ghibli movies usually have. I felt it in this one as well, and I was super surprised by it. It's like, yeah, it has that touch.
I think from an art standpoint, it certainly looks like a Ghibli film.
Yeah, it's got the Ghibli effort in it for sure.
It's
got the Ghibli Kino.
Like, it has like those moments in Ghibli movies where I have these massive crowds and they're so detailed. They have all these goofy people in the background. It just feels so lived in, right? It feels so alive.
Yeah.
For an animated movie, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I will say the ending happens, like the closing narration happens so abruptly. It's like, all right, everyone disperse, and then immediately go into the closing narration. It's
very
like,
abrupt.
I mean, again, this was supposed to be like an in-flight like infomercial or whatever. It wasn't supposed to be a 60-minute long thing. So,
but I think it's still very satisfying. I was satisfied by the end of it.
I mean, I will say this movie is an hour and a half long. It's like 93 minutes long, and it doesn't feel like it at all. It goes by really quick.
Oh, I thought it was 60 minutes. Is it really 90?
It's a 90-minute long movie. 93 minutes, is the total runtime.
Also features one of my favorite new catchphrases: "Better a pig than a fascist."
Pig than a fascist.
Apparently, people were saying that in Italy or something.
Really?
No, Spain.
Or Spain? Was it Spain?
Yeah, it was Spain during the in 2023 during the general elections in Spain.
Seriously?
But yeah, I like that saying too. I'm like, better a pig than a fascist.
So why do you think it's a pig? Because by the end of the movie, you have that whole like sequence in the credits of all like the pig pilot imagery, which is like really funny to me. But do you think it's just a thing of like, oh, like most males in this movie are like pigs, but this guy is not? Or like, I'm trying to figure out what I think about it just being a pig. Like, if there's more to it.
I feel like the realistic answer is that Hayao Miyazaki thought it'd be funny.
Maybe that's, maybe I was reading too much into it.
It's like, if you went up to it, you'd probably be like, because pigs are cute.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's hot for this pig, dude. Like, everyone's like, oh, Porco Rosso. Oh, my dude.
I also find it funny that this is one of the few things that Miyazaki has worked on that he wanted to make a sequel for and never has.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Or like, he was like, yeah, after Ponyo, I feel like I'll release a sequel to Porco Rosso, and then Ghibli was like, nah, we're not doing that. They just straight up said nah.
I like the idea. I guess the basic concept was going to be that it was going to take place during the Spanish Civil War, and it would be Porco Rosso like appearing as a veteran pilot.
Would that
So,
have
like,
been the first sequel film Ghibli would have produced?
uh,
I don't think they've done any sequels.
yeah, they have. The
Oh,
Cat
The
Returns
Cat
is a sequel
Returns.
to
That's true. Fuck.
Whisper of the Heart.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Is that what it's
I've
called?
also
Never mind.
never seen A Cat
Same.
Returns. That's
Well, you
my
should watch
wife-
the original before you watch the sequel.
Makes sense.
My wife loves A Cat Returns, and like it's one of her personal favorite Ghibli films, and I've never seen it. So I'm slowly but surely crossing off all the Ghibli films.
Yeah,
All the classics.
all the classics. Eventually we'll review Spirited Away. I promise.
Eventually.
I
Listen,
In
we
promise.
already
case of
reviewed the
emergency,
best-
break out Spirited Away.
We already reviewed the best Ghibli film, okay? Like Princess Mononoke was the best. You're not topping it, in my opinion.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
You know what?
That's ooh.
Eventually, when we get all of the Ghibli films under our belt, we should do like a Ghibli movie tier list ranking thing.
Sure, yeah, that sounds fun actually. We'll be
Out
here
of,
all
something.
day.
out of the Ghibli films I haven't seen, I don't think anything's topping the fact that I've already seen all the popular stuff, and my favorite is Princess Mononoke. It is number one.
That's a fair take, by the way. Like, I only watched Mononoke recently, and I loved it. But I think maybe Howl still takes the crown for me. Maybe. Just such a fucking good. But anyway,
I mean, it's hard to beat Princess Mononoke. Which, by the way, if you've not seen our review of it, John and I did a review of Princess Mononoke a couple years ago. You should watch it.
it's a good movie. It was a good review as well. Listen to it.
Yeah, I still
good
love
time.
Spirited Away. It's up there too. I mean, I love Grave of the Fireflies, but not for a good reason.
I love Grave
It's
of
a
the
great
Fireflies.
movie.
Oh,
It's
man,
a great movie,
It's
but
a
man,
great movie.
It's so hard to watch.
It's literally when we did our review, I said it like literally in the first 15 seconds. It's like, oh, there's the tin can. Oh, there's the bone. I'm like, ugh, tears. I'm like, oh no.
Here we go again.
But
This is not a movie you should rewatch.
no,
When I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's weird. Now I know why that's in there, and then now it makes it hurt.
yeah,
Oh God, Ghibli
Um,
films are just something else, aren't they? They're in
They
like
are.
a league of their own.
yeah. It's so different than anything else you see in anime, especially today. Like today,
Crazy we
everything's,
got
about,
a Ghibli movie in 2024. It's kind of
This-
crazy.
2023.
2023, yeah.
Done by Hayao Miyazaki. The dude's still alive, still kicking, still hating anime.
That's gonna be his last film, right? He's not.
He said he's working on
anything
another one.
else? Oh my lord!
Fucking
Retire.
workaholic.
I think he realizes that his son isn't as good as he is, so he's got to keep making movies.
Oh, that's so harsh. That's so harsh.
Look, all I'm
We'll probably
saying
get
is before The Boy and the Heron came out, the last thing that Studio Ghibli released was Earwig and the Witch by Goro Miyazaki, and it fucking bombed.
I have never
Was that
heard of this
Ghibli movie
film.
or was that
What?
It is
different
a
studio?
Ghibli movie.
Really?
I
What?
don't remember. I've never watched that one either. Oh man, I gotta watch that one now.
Are you
And
sure
And
it's
it
a
sucks.
Ghibli
Oh,
movie?
dude,
I'm
come
looking at it
on.
right now. Yes, it's a Ghibli movie.
Why did I think it was a different studio that worked on it?
Because it doesn't look like a Ghibli movie because it's animated in 3D.
Oh,
Oh, gotcha. That's crazy.
But yeah.
I mean, also, what was the name of that movie? Tales of Earthsea? Was that the name of it? That was also done by Goro Miyazaki.
Yeah,
Something
Tales of
from
Earthsea in 2006, excuse me. That was also a bomb.
oof.
That was the
Bro,
one. but
imagine
people,
being the son of such a famous director and not
And you
being able
suck.
to make and you suck at your job, bro.
That's the Tales from Earthsea is the movie that people talk the story all the time of Hayao Miyazaki walked out of his son's movie premiere
God,
because he thought it
damn.
was so bad.
That's not just the meme. That actually happened.
Yes, that actually happened.
Yikes.
He walked out of the premiere of his son's own movie
Big
because he thought it was
yikes.
so bad.
Ugh.
Yikes! Oh my god.
We should review it someday.
Oh, we should. I'd like to say if you look at like Rotten Tomatoes or any kind of review aggregator, those two by Goro Miyazaki are the well. He also did From Up on Poppy Hill, which is actually a pretty decent movie. Has a 28 and a 38 respectively on Rotten Tomatoes. Whew, that's bad.
Poor guy. I
Certified
feel bad for
rotten.
him.
Certified rotten. I mean, I've seen
right.
Tales from Earthsea. It's legitimately a bad movie.
That's a shame.
But unless anyone else has anything to say about Porco Rosso, we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah, just wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what scores do we all give it? Because I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. It's not my favorite Ghibli movie by far, but I think it is kind of underrated by a lot of people and kind of forgotten. It's nowhere near as good as something like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, but I still think it's up there.
Yeah. Natai?
Yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was a great time. I thought it was just a really fun movie to chill, enjoy, and just get lost in. For me, it's a very high 8, maybe closer to 9, but it's an 8. And I definitely would recommend it to more people just to enjoy something very chill, very entertaining, very fun. And I exceeded my expectations. So yeah, I was surprised how much I loved it. But yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for the recommendation.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, honestly, I went into this with no expectations. I thought it'd be like an okay film because like no one ever talks trash about it, but no one ever talks anything good about it either. So I'm like, oh, it might be in a kind of just like a meh film. You're right,
A
like
C-tier
Ponyo.
Ghibli movie.
Well, like I wouldn't say C tier, but like B tier Ghibli movie, right? Like, it's okay. Honestly speaking, though, I originally was gonna be like, yeah, it's more of a 7, but more I think about it, like, no, I actually did enjoy it. Like, it's fun, it's campy, it has elements where like I did want to actually like watch the movie. There's not like any moment where like unlike Ponyo, which is a C tier Ghibli film in my opinion, I do not like Ponyo.
That is a hot take and a half right there, by the way.
Other people love Ponyo. I fucking hate Ponyo.
Whoa.
Oh man. But anyway, yeah, to me this is not a B tier film. This is more of an A tier film. It's not S tier like, Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, House Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, Grave of the Fireflies, okay? But it's definitely A tier. It's definitely worth watching. Originally I thought it might just be average inoffensive movie. It's a Ghibli film, like whatever. It's not. It is inoffensive because like it doesn't suck, but it is enjoyable, and I do recommend people watch it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if Fathom Events. Oh, I guess I don't know if Fathom Events exists in Israel, but there is a event company that every year they'll do like a Ghibli fest. So the entire month it'll take over like movie theaters, and they'll just play Ghibli movies. So you can go and watch all the Ghibli movies. Because it brings in a lot of people to watch because people like watching Ghibli films.
That's awesome. We don't have those. Sometimes though, when there are like movie festivals, they will screen some Ghibli movies. That's how I first saw Howl Moving Castle during a movie festival that happened here.
Yeah,
But
on
that
rotation
sounds
they
awesome.
always have like House Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. But I also do see Porco Rosso, but that's one I always go, I don't want to watch that one. But now that I've seen it, I'm like, you know what? I probably won't skip it. Just so I can be like, oh, I'm gonna marathon everything, but yeah, it's good.
Would be a fun rewatch later down the line for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want to rewatch it in English. I need to hear
Same.
Michael Keaton.
Same.
Yeah. I just want to
That
hear
was
him
fun.
go, I'm Batman.
I'm Porco Rosso.
I am the Knight. Oh
man.
my god. Yeah, that's Porco Rosso. I hope you all enjoyed listening to us talk about it. The next person that's going to be choosing a movie for us to review is Shinoda. God help us all.
God help us all.
So we don't know
Oh,
exactly
boy.
what he's going to choose yet. But going forward, we're planning on announcing the next movies that we review in our Discord server. So if you haven't joined our Discord server, there is a link down below. And I will probably host, for most of the movies we review, I'll probably host some kind of watch party in our server. So if you're there, you can watch along with us. So you're ready to watch the movie reviews when they come out. So like I said, if you aren't a member of our Discord server, join down below. There is a link. Also, you can check out down below to find all the links to all the stuff Anime Club After Dark does everywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you like what you saw and want to see more. And with that being said, I have been your host, Alex, and we will see you next time. Say goodnight, piggies!
Good night, piggies.
Boogie?
Piggy? Rory? Oh my god,
I hated
Alex.
that. We're editing
Ugh,
that out.
I hated that in
Ugh.
my ear. Ugh. I'd rather hear
Was it
anything
really that
but
bad? I
that
don't know
noise.
how it sounded.
Ugh.
Never
it was
in
accurate.
10 million years would I ever want you to snort into my ear holes,
Ugh.
Alex.
It was
No
very
offense.
accurate, and I hated that. Ugh.
Squeal like a piggy.
Ugh. Ugh.